First, I want to welcome everybody. I see lots of people we know, and I see lots of people that are new. I want to welcome all of you. For people who don't know what Chai Mitzvah is, I'm really glad you're here. It's a Jewish engagement initiative. We come together through texts and really meaningful conversations, both virtually like this and in person in small groups that people do either as friends or through their synagogues or their JCCs. And we're going to have a really good time tonight. And if you like this and you want to start a group of your own, we can tell you how to do it later in the follow-up email. Meanwhile, I just want to say welcome to everybody. Deb.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Rabbi Deb Smith, and it's very exciting to see everybody here tonight at our unique Tu B'Shvat Seder. Welcome, everybody. And tonight we will experience the celebration of Tu B'Shvat, the New Year of the Trees, from a Kabbalistic Four Worlds approach. And so we will journey through the worlds of Asiya, Yitzira, Bria, and Atzilut, and learn about them while we are having our Seder this evening. For this experience, we're going to use a Haggadah, and it's called the Branching Out Haggadah, which Nina created for the Jewish National Fund a while back. And so, Nina, I'm delighted to turn this over to you as you begin us on our journey.
Thank you. I'm really excited that everyone's here. I'm going to start out by showing you Shivat HaMinim, these 7 species that grow in Israel. We always think about them on Tu B'Shvat because Tu B'Shvat celebrates spring in Israel. And as you can
different
see,
organization, and they're doing
a lot of times
different kind of.
Oh, excuse me. I'm just going to ask you, everybody mute yourself for a moment. And then when you want to talk, we're really happy to have you join in. But for now, a lot of times it's like the 7 dwarfs. We try to see if we can remember all of them, but I have them on the screen just to get us in the mood. We have barley and wheat. We have a pomegranate, fig, grapes, dates, because and this is a clue. If you're listening to me now, you will be able to answer something later. Date honey and olives. So more than 300 years ago in Safat, which is a beautiful mountaintop city in Israel, the custom of celebrating Tu B'Shvat with a Seder began. Like a Passover Seder, we drink 4 cups of wine. And like a Passover Seder, we eat foods that are symbols of the holiday. And you see some of them on the screen here. And like a Passover Seder, we use a book to guide us. The original text that was used for Tu B'Shvat Seder was Prietz Hadar, which means fruit of the goodly tree. And it was part of a bigger book of Kabbalistic customs. Tonight's Seder is based on that text.
We celebrate Tu B'Shvat when most of the winter rains have passed in Israel and the sap is beginning to rise in the trees. We celebrate the rebirth of nature and the rebirth of our homeland, Israel. We celebrate the beauty of everything God has created and think about our responsibility toward each living thing. So as I was saying, the word Seder means order, and the Kabbalists, the Jewish mystics from Tzfat in Israel, taught that we live in 4 worlds at the same time. At our Tu B'Shvat Seder, we will be taking a journey through all of these 4 worlds.
The first world is called Asiya, which means doing. This is a world of actions, of things we do. The second world is called Yitzira, which means formation. This world is about energy and feelings. The third world is called Bria, which means creation. This is the world of ideas and creativity. The fourth world is called Atzilut, which means nobility. This is the world of spirituality and closeness to God. As we move through the worlds, we move from the physical, the things we can touch, to the spiritual, our inner thoughts and feelings. The things we do each day are all parts of all of the worlds at the same time.
These worlds are celebrated in a section of Branching Out, and you might notice that these sections also correspond to the 4 seasons, so that we're going to actually travel through all the seasons of the year, as well as the 4 worlds that the Kabbalists inhabited.
Right. So we're going to start out with the first level with Asiya. We're going to eat some things that are symbols of it. We're going to drink some wine or grape juice. That's part of it. And we're going to see a text that is part of it, and we're going to have a nice discussion about it. Asiyah, as I said before, means doing. So we think about nature and the physical world, about the actions we can take to repair it and keep it whole. The earth, Aretz, is a symbol of Asiyah because it's permanent and solid. As a symbol of Asiyah, we eat fruits and nuts with a tough outer shell and a soft inside, reminding us that God protects us, both our bodies, the outside, and our souls, our insides. So if you've brought anything of these along, walnuts, almonds, hazelnuts, pomegranate, grapefruit, pineapple, coconut, pistachios, banana, kiwi, we're going to say our blessing, and then we're going to have it. This is my almond that I brought along. The first tree that blossoms in Israel is the shkedia, the almond tree, and it's also a symbol of Tu B'Shvat. Okay, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri ha'etz. Blessed are you, God, sovereign of the universe, who creates the fruit of the tree. Okay, now you can either symbolically or really open your window and feel the cool air. Our first cup of wine is white, reminding us of winter when nature is asleep. So pour your white wine if you have it, or grape juice. I should not talk with my mouth full. Lift the cup and say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri ha'gafen. Blessed are you, God, our sovereign of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. Now,
What do
going
I
to put
say
our-
for, excuse me,
our
what do I
first
say
text?
for water? Because I'm using water as my white wine.
Oh, that's a good one. And it's interesting because water is actually going to be part of what comes soon. Deb, is there a blessing for water?
You're not, the blessing's not done over water. I mean, you're not supposed to use water as a substitute. So
But
Well,
you
my
don't have
husband,
to,
You're
you don't have
having
to
some.
bless it. You
my
just,
husband couldn't get white grape juice because I
so
could
just
only
drink it
grape juice.
and enjoy it. So,
Okay, fine.
but we respect the heart that's there, so that's good. All right, so let's put up our first.
Text one, yeah.
Okay, here is our first text.
Here on earth, too, God lives, not in heaven alone. A beautiful tree, a newly plowed field, in them you will find God's likeness.
This is from a 19th century poet, Saul Chernovsky. And I'm going to, well, Reb Deb tells you the question, I'm going to copy it and put it in the chat box. So if you need to refer back to it, you'll have it.
And when you're in the breakout rooms, if you need to check the question again, you have the ability to do that. And our question for you is, how is God present in nature, in our lives, and in the things that we do?
Okay,
You'll have how many minutes in the breakout before we come back?
about 5 minutes. Why does it say waiting room participants? It should be to all participants. Send chat to everyone in meeting. Here we go. Okay. 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 Here we go. How is God present in nature, in our lives, and in everything we do? I'm going to send you to the breakout rooms.
And don't send me. I'll stay with you.
Okay, we'll see you in 5 minutes. Okay.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. And the question was, how is God present in nature, in our lives, and in the things we do? And I'm going to ask if you were in breakout room number 1. I'd like to take one comment from breakout room number 1. Please mute up, everybody. There's a lot of unmuted mics on here. And please limit your comments to 2 minutes. So I'd like one representative from breakout room 1 to share with us your answer to this question. And please unmute and go for it.
I think I was in breakout room number 1, but
Okay.
the conclusion was God is everywhere, in everything, and in every breath, in everything that exists. And
Thank
we worship
you.
that.
That's lovely. Thank you so much. That sums it up real well. A representative from breakout room number 2 Somebody that might like to offer their answer, feel free to unmute, whether it's your personal answer or your group's answer.
The person who's on the phone looks like they're trying to answer in. I hear someone is unmuted. If you're a person for Breakout Room 2, we'd love to hear your answer, how God is present in nature, in our lives, and in all of the things we do. Or if
I
someone-
don't know what room we were in.
Go for it, Michelle.
go
It's
for it.
okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So I didn't note our room, but we had our comments were similar to what was said from number 1. God's hand is in everything. The awe of nature, the idea of making a decision, having free will, or that when something stops us from making a wrong choice or helps us make a good choice, we feel God's presence in that. The just awareness that every single thing, every single motion, every single word, every single thing in the universe is directed from this higher power.
Thank you. How eloquently said.
That was-
Anybody?
I was in Breakout Room 2,
Mhm.
and I had read Rabbi Nachum of Breslau's prayer about nature. And after I read that, the people who shared kind of agreed that just walking and feeling God's presence around, he really says it all very eloquently.
Thank you. You couldn't have picked a better person to quote. You're absolutely right. He says it all. I think there was another hand up. Marilyn, did you have a hand up? Or yeah, please.
I was just going to say that I was in Michelle's room, and that was Breakout Room 6.
Okay, that's okay. Anybody else? We'll take one more comment before we go on to the next level of our world. Anybody else? I've got one screen, so if you're on the other screen and you want to unmute and share, if there's anybody else, you just
I
need
can
to.
see. I'm looking. If you raise your hand, I can see you.
Okay.
I don't see any other hands.
Okay, then let's go forward. Okay.
I think our room, I didn't see where to raise your hand all that quickly, but I'll just be really brief. The people in our room, that was room 4, definitely oriented more toward the nature aspect of everything, not for any particular reason, I think, other than that was just the intuition that everyone seemed to have. And you know, the main points were, you know, if you put a seed in the ground, a plant comes up. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty miraculous. You know, you don't really have to philosophize about it too much. And one of the people I thought which was very interesting, said it made a big difference to her to actually put your hands in the earth, to have that tactile experience.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, that's a very good point and very meaningful. Thank you, Bruce.
Sure.
Nina, want to go forward?
I see Elaine's hand is up. After Elaine.
Can't see. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, thank you. Hi, my name's Elaine. I live on the ocean here in Long Beach, Long Island. And whenever I just walk out my door, I go to the beach, and I seem to be able to have my prayer with Hashem even more easily than indoors, because I just see the awe of his creation. Our group, somebody brought up how important it is that we are having to take care of nature. And right now it's so evident, it's become evident. And I always think about Israel and how amazing it is, how this amazing agriculture, you know, everything started from nothing, and how agriculture is such a very big part of Jewish life. And what is the name of the break that we're taking now with the trees? Is it called Shmiti? We're not
Shemitah.
planting.
Yeah, the Shemitah. Yeah, Shemitah.
I mean, that whole philosophy in itself shows such a care about nature. So the more I study Judaism, the more agriculture and nature have become evident to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go on now to the next level, the next world, which is called Yitzira, and means formation. Yitzira means formation. So we think about energy and feelings, creation and creativity. Water, Mayim, is the symbol of Yitzira. So it's interesting that you're just talking about living on the ocean. It's a symbol because water moves, it cleans, it dissolves. So think about the role that water plays in our lives. As a symbol of Yitzira, we eat fruits with a soft outer shells and hard insides, like pits, to remind us that if we have strong inner energy, we don't need to be hard on the outside. So we can choose olives or dates, peaches, apricots, plums, avocados, or cherries. And before we eat, here's a date. We'll recite the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri ha'etz. Blessed are you, our God, sovereign of the universe, who creates the fruit of the tree. This time I will not speak with my mouth full. As spring approaches, the sun begins to warm the frozen earth. The landscape begins to change from white to red as the first flowers appear. As a symbol of this change, we mix some red wine with the white for our second cup. So here is our slightly red, but still lighter cup. And we hold it up and we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri ha'gadah. Blessed are you, our God, sovereign of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. Now we'll put on our next text.
This text from Isaiah says, draw water joyously from the wells of salvation. It's a very thoughtful quote that we have from the book of Isaiah. And our question is, what can we learn from water? So think about, how has water been your salvation? When have you felt a well of salvation coming your way? Think about water. How has water taught you something?
Okay, so I'm going to put that in the chat box so that you can see it if you need a reminder. Okay, we're going to go back into our rooms for another 5 minutes, and looking forward to hear what you have to say when you come back.
Okay, and our question was, what can we learn from water? The waters of salvation. Have you ever been saved by water? And how has water intervened in a positive way in your life? So anyone that wants to comment, please just raise your hand. And if you're not commenting, can you please mute so that we don't have any background disturbance?
Okay.
So just raise your hand if you wish to make a comment on this very deep question, and feel free. Claire, I see your hand.
Water nurtures so many things that we need to live. And water is a part of us. It's inside of us.
Thank you. Other comments on water?
I see Marilyn. Marilyn,
Yeah,
go
go ahead.
Yeah, on behalf of group number 6, we talked about this similarly, where our bodies are made up of, such a large percentage of water, and that water is everything, and that, a drop of water is very necessary to sustain you, all the way up to the fact that we can have things like tsunamis, where water is the most destructive force in the world. And so you have to find a balance between all of that. And one thing that we even came up with was that water can support you like in a pool, and you can feel very calm by water. But even babies are in a placenta, which is made up of water. So it's very life-giving in many different ways.
I just wanted to add to that. My husband is a retired obstetrician gynecologist, and when they were doing water births, that was like the big thing was, that people would be giving birth in a tub of water. And that was just an amazing experience. So thank you. And I think it's all about balance, because water can be destructive as well as life affirming and supporting. And how do we find that balance? Because it seems like it's a little bit out of whack in nature these days. It's not always in control. Other comments, just raise your hand so we can see you if anyone. Harriet?
Harriet, you're muted.
Okay. Our youngest grandson was born in water 7 years ago this month. So it was an experience that I didn't get to see, but it was kind of scary from the grandparents' point of view. But everything turned out okay. I brought up in our breakout room the book called Fitness of the Environment that I read in graduate school, that water is the defining term why the earth can support life. Without water, we would have no life, though, as we know it on our earth. And the characteristic of water that when it gets frozen, it floats. Otherwise, we'd only be living in a very narrow latitude on our earth. Because if it didn't float and sank, then everything in the waters and the lakes and rivers would die during the winter. And that's why we can live all different places. And also the metaphor of water meaning life. In literature and in the Bible, it's always talking about life-giving force. And we also talked about because I grew up the Mississippi River, and the positive and the negative of water. It can cause flooding and damage, but we also needed it. And then I remembered on a hike one time, I hadn't drunk enough water and I was getting really sick. And luckily our son-in-law was able to run and get me some water. And it's like, oh, now it was my fault for not drinking more water before I went, but you can get affected really quickly.
Thank you. And Wendy, see your hand up too.
Yes, and I think I saw Erica. Was your hand up? Erica, did you have your hand?
Was, but I was in Harriet's group, but mentioned, then we talked about, balance and how, yes, the human body is made up of 70% water, as is the earth, 70% water. And so, we talk about balance, we think of as 50-50, but it's not. Water is much more important. And that's one of the reasons we need to pay more attention to taking care of it, and water cleanliness and everything in our planet, because it takes up a lot more space than humans do. We need to pay that much more attention to it.
Thanks. And I'm sorry, Wendy, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Wendy, and I see Iris's hand and Sherry's hand. Those are the three that I see. Wendy,
yes.
Please. Yeah.
Okay. So we, besides talking about, how much water is percentage in our body and everything like that, and how much we need water and how much plants need water and everything, our group also talked about how that we're physically close by bodies of water, that it holds us together also. So that was another point that our group brought up.
Thank you. Iris? Whoops, you're muted.
I know, sorry. For one,
okay.
Wouldn't come up to let me press it. I was in the group number 7 with Erica and Harriet and another person who, I'm sorry, and Harriet's husband. So I add to the balance that we also talked about the energy of water, and especially in the ocean, that there's such a dynamic energy. And that's certainly something to learn about life, that we all need to have that fluidity in our lives. And also I wanted to just share a couple of quick things for what I've learned from water besides that energy. At one point in my life, I went into the mikvah a couple of times for transition. And that was a beautiful experience. And I'm sure many of you have also experienced the mikvah. So the healing and the sense of a new threshold in life and going forward. So it's like we were talking about the womb and the meaning of that. And also, I just wanted to mention that it was Shabbat Shira, and we sang the Song of Songs, and we're so joyful. So I think that water, that obviously was about crossing over, and yet also that water has this sense of renewal, and so that was almost like it was like a birth and a midwifing, crossing over into on the other side of the Red Sea or the Sea of Reeds. So there's just so much about renewal that is in water. So
thank you so much for tying that in with the Torah portion of the week with B'Shalach and the parting of the waters, right? The parting of the waters and the crossing of the sea of obstacles from a tighter place to a more expansive place.
And that we had to before, I believe the midrash that we walked in the water before it started to part, and you know, it didn't part. So we have to do something first as well. Thank you.
Sherry?
Yeah, so my group also talked about all the things that everybody was saying and that how healthy water is, you know, on a personal basis, you know, the cleansing, purification. But the other thing is that we have a responsibility now that water can be scarce, you know, in some parts of where I live, for example, where all creatures need the water, and we have coyotes coming in looking for water, things like that. So we do have a personal responsibility to try to do what we can to replenish so that hopefully the climate will have water, you know, be'ito, in the right time and in the right amount. And then the other thing that I just thought about with water is that it reflects our emotion. I mean, the ocean can be like fierce and angry. And then when you look at a calm stream, it can be so harmonious and peaceful. And so it's very nice how nature reflects our inner selves in a very beautiful way, and also a very frightening way sometimes. So that was
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Nina, do you want to take us to the next world?
I will. I will take us to the next world.
I like that. That sounds good.
Come with me to the next world, which is Bria, which means creation. Think about ideas, our hopes, our dreams. The natural laws and patterns of nature that govern the universe are part of Bria. The wind is a symbol of Bria, Ruach. In Hebrew, Ruach means wind, breath, or spirit. So as a symbol of Bria, we eat fruits that are soft throughout so that the whole fruit can be eaten. Here, there's no difference between our inner beings and our outer selves. So we can choose figs, seedless grapes, blueberries, raisins, raspberries, or strawberries. Before we eat, we recite the blessing, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri ha'etz. Blessed are you, sovereign of the universe, who creates the fruit of the tree. And as we're moving through the seasons, during the summer, fruits and vegetables are plentiful. The air is warm and reminded of the richness of life. As a symbol of this change, we mix more red wine with our white. So we have a deeper color. And we lift our cup and we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Then we do not spill our wine. That would be bad. Now comes something I'm really excited about. It's called Ruach Bubbles. We think about our breath and the air around us, because, you know, Ruach is part of this level. And we're gonna, those of us who brought bubbles will blow a bubble. Those of us who didn't, I will blow a bubble for you. And as I blow the bubble, or as you blow your bubble, think about where your hopes are, either for yourself inside, or for the world outside, or for both. And you can either say it out loud or say it to yourself. And I would also encourage you to please type it in the chat box, because we can share our hopes and dreams afterwards. We're going to blow our Ruach bubble.
Very cool. Very cool.
Right. So we hope that you will share your hopes in the chat box, and we can share them, all of us together.
We'll try to pull some of them out. If you type them in, I'll try to retrieve them before the end of the evening and share them.
Okay. And I'll also, I'll save them and I'll share them in our follow-up email also. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to move into the next level, which is Atzilut, which means nobility. We think about our pure, noble spirit, loving kindness, power, and beauty. This is a level where we feel closer to God. And remember that each creature is part of one universe. Just like when our bubbles popped, we became part of all the air around us. We're aware of where our place is in the world and how every creature fits together in the world. Fire, Aish, is a symbol of Atzilut. Fire is the energy of life, but as we were saying about water, fire can also destroy. We don't need any fruits to symbolize Atzilut because God is timeless, infinite, and impossible to describe. But we think about the seasons, and as summer turns to fall, plants turn inward to prepare their seeds, animals turn inward for rest, and people turn inward to think about the year that has passed and the one that's beginning. Remember, our purpose is to live in balance and harmony with all of God's creation. It's a symbol of this season. The fourth cup of wine is full strength red. And we're going to say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. Blessed are you, God, sovereign of the universe, who creates the fruit of the wine. Okay. Now we have a very beautiful text, which I'll put on the screen for you.
This text is very special. Here is the secret of secrets. When we honor the words of Torah, blessings pour forth from heaven above to the earth below. And remember, these were Kabbalists. They were mystics who were exploring the deepest secrets of life and Torah. That was their main goal, so that they could cleave closer to God. So our question is, what is a secret about life that you've learned from the Torah?
This is from Prietz Hadar, this actual quote that we read, which is the original Kabbalistic text that inspired this Tu B'Shvat Haggadah and was the first text that was used in a Tu B'Shvat Haggadah. So the question is,
you're now in Atzilut, so you've been transported to the highest level when you tackle this deep question.
May we see that quote again? May we see it again?
yes, I'm just going to put this in and then I'm going to do secret about life that you've learned from Torah. I did not write Torah. Okay, and I'm going to share it one more time. And then we'll go into our breakout rooms, but let's let everybody have a look at it. I'm also going to send a PDF of the presentation so that you'll have all these in case you want them at home. And this is one of my favorites too. Here is the secret of secrets. When we honor the words of Torah, blessings pour from heaven above to the earth below. Okay. Now we are going to go into our breakout rooms and we're going to discuss what is the secret that you've learned from the Torah. Hi, Audrey.
Are we in a breakout room?
Yeah, but I guess because you came out and in, I can put you in one.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. No, it's lovely. It was a memorial service I had to attend. It's a young boy who died, friend of ours.
Oh, that's awful.
It was terrible. Got married 6 months ago.
How did that happen?
He had some kind of heart defect that they didn't know about. And
so sad.
Anyway,
I'm so sorry.
Very sad. So, so it looks like it's going well.
Well, people are having fun with the sharing. I think it's really nice.
Sharing.
Very nice.
Yeah, and you know, managing this big group, which is amazing. That's great.
Yeah, yeah.
So what are the secrets of Torah? What have you learned from Torah?
Don't even ask. Every day I wrestle with this.
Yeah.
I think that's a great thing. You learn from Torah that you can wrestle. It's okay.
You know, I've been teaching this senior seminar and doing the Parsha, and I always marry it with a TED Talk. Like I take the Parsha, I find a TED Talk that goes with it, and I'm always amazed how relevant the Torah is. Like every Parsha has so much in it that is so relevant and so much wisdom for what, you know, it's like
what sciences is learning today, the Torah talks about, it's just, to me, it's like a seed that you can constantly learn from and constantly find new meaning, no matter where you are in your life. You read the parsha every year and you find something else in it, something different, some new perspective.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
We're gonna, we have a discussion to do and this.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna bring them back now. I'm gonna give them like 30 seconds.
How many comments shall we take?
Are people in the same breakouts each time? They with the same people?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, they're random, but then they're in the same ones. So
we may run over 2 or 3 minutes, but I want to make sure we get some comments.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm thinking? When they come back, let's tell them that we want to run over a little bit because we have this really cool thing to do.
Yeah, because that's like the centerpiece at the end.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to bring everybody back. Such a nice thing. I wish we had 2 hours,
They'd be home sleeping at that point. They would have left us, I think.
That woman who came in the beginning and said how she was so tired. Oh, all right, here we go. Oh, someone just appeared now. That's interesting. I see everyone is coming back.
If you're coming back in, please mute so that we can take comments without any interference.
Here we come. Hey, welcome back, everybody. We want to have this discussion, and then we also have something very special to finish with. So we are hoping that it'll be okay if we run over maybe 5 minutes, because we'd really like to have a nice discussion. So everyone who's not speaking, mute, please. And
please mute. And the question is, what is a secret about life that you've learned from the Torah? If you'd like to offer, and particularly those who haven't had a chance to speak, if someone hasn't had a turn and you would like to offer a comment, please just raise your hand and unmute.
I see Deanna.
Yeah, Deanna. No, she's passing. Okay. Somebody else. Lisa has her hand up. Lisa Wisewoke. Yeah.
I was just, since we were talking about Beishalach over the weekend, something that you can learn from the actual look of the Torah at that section. It's kind of wavy. It has a different look at it. And so it kind of, for life, it's like kind of go with the flow or look at things a little differently from a different perspective. And that's what I've shared with my group.
Thank you. Kristen? You're still muted, Kristen.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. We talked about how our forefathers and foremothers and the people in the Torah are not perfect. And neither are we. None of us are perfect. But we always have the chance to work on ourselves and to try to do better. And to help others to try to do better by paying it forward.
Thank you. I know Diana had her hand up before. She wrote in the chat. I don't know where she is on my screen, but if you wanted to comment, please, would you like to unmute or no? Okay. Other people who want to have make a comment, just raise your hand and we will recognize you.
It's in the chat.
It's in the chat. Okay. All right.
I was eating baksa.
Okay, that's okay. Okay.
I have.
Who else?
Very good Tu B'Shvat snack. Yeah.
Creatina, you had comment. Your hand is up.
Yes. Hey. So in my group, we talked a little bit about how Torah teaches so much about life, and we've talked about that tonight already. And I was just thinking that that's like the biggest secret, you know, I think that is overlooked. You know, in society, there's, you know, whatever issue you stand for, you know, if we strip away all the labels and we just get back to life, you know, and what is that value and what is the meaning of life? And maybe, you know, Torah teaches us to stop and look at that and find compassion for others and what their meaning of life is.
Thank you. We have Norma's
Sherry's
hand was
mom.
up and Sherry's hand was up. that I see.
Sherry's mom. Sherry's mom.
Sherry's, oh yes, mother of Sherry, go ahead.
Okay, so in terms of life, at the very beginning of the Torah, the first life, it says that that they were that Adam, the original human, was created in the image of God, B'Tselem Elohim. So all the offspring from that first person still has a spark of godliness in them, which teaches me that every human being needs to be respected, because every human being has a spark of godliness in them. So although our own people may be our family, that doesn't mean that we alienate others. Others can be our good friends, and they can be people that we respect. So I think we have a great deal to learn from that original story of Adam.
Thank you for your teaching, for giving that over to us. Thank you. Norma, you were going to speak as well, yeah? Whoop, where'd she go?
I just want to say we talked most about gratitude. The Torah says choose life, and I know when I say Modeh Ani in the morning, I'm thanking God for my gift of life. And I think Gloria mentioned how we are grateful to be alive, and that's the biggest gift that Torah gives us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments before we do our special candle closing? And if not, I'll turn it to you, Nina.
Okay, so we're talking about the symbol being fire, or Aish. And with that, I would like to share on our screen a blessing about fire. And I would like to also, if I can, make sure that you can see this candle. Are you able to see this?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, great. Light a fire. And if anyone has a candle at home, please join me. And we'll say this bracha together. Nevarech et makor hachayim sheborei ma'orei ha'esh. Bless the source of life who creates the lights of fire. And we're going to hold the palms of our hands high enough away that we can feel the flame. But as you move closer to the flame, it becomes warm. And you know that if you get too close, you can burn yourself. And that reminds us that we can say this together. The light of the candle reminds us that each of us has the power to light different kinds of fire, either helpful or harmful. As our Tu B'Shvat Seder ends, and we look at the light of the candle, we promise that our actions will be for Tikkun Olam, the care and repair of nature and the world. Thank you so much for joining us.
That was lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That was beautiful.
So, happy to be back. Thank you.